I guess that means that we're on. As you can see, I totally got this whole thing down. Okay, so this week, or I should say today, today's show is specifically about the customer education path and how it can help you organize your marketing around your customer. Now, in the wild, wild west of the early internet, just like in the wild, wild west of the early um, industrial revolution or whatever, there was a focus not so much on the customer themselves as it was on the marketer or the business purveyor, if you will. So what has happened over years, centuries, decades, excuse me, I'm getting a little bit well, it feels like I'm making stuff. Yeah, see, Lizzie is unhappy. That's my dog, and that's my dog. Okay, so what exactly is a customer experience path? It's something that I kind of put together after, or not kind of, I put together before, during, and after really getting a clearer understanding, thanks to the mainframe guys of the Rainmaker platform. Well, they're part of Copyblogger Media, but they're on the Rainmaker.fm podcast network. And this was really, really helpful to me because I've been piecing the pieces together, if you will, on my own just by watching them do what they do. No, I didn't have any insights as far as the team themselves. Obviously I didn't understand, I wasn't privy to what they were doing behind the scenes, but I was a customer for years. So, and I always knew that, okay, they deal with me the way that I deal with my customers. Now, one of the things that came up, and I've been getting some assistance from, I'm one of the teaching sales members over at Copyblogger Media, or it's copyblogger.com. But one of the things that they've been doing is they're helping with some feedback as far as putting together my minimum viable product, etc. Because 7 years, gosh, closing on 8 years in, I still haven't launched my MVP, if you will. I've done a lot of testing. I've worked one-on-one with local small business customers as I put together the solution for them. And I've had Southland Church down in Valdosta, Georgia, as my customer for 5 years, and obviously closing in on 6 at this point. Honest Asana Photography down in Valdosta as well. I went to school at Valdosta State, and I can't remember. There's been others. Well, obviously Drew Ennis over in TTI Coaching in Australia, etc. So these people that I've worked with, it's been extremely helpful to me to help them put together their quote unquote funnel to convert customers within their website, which obviously, if you're building your website with Rainmaker, the marketing platform, then that's where you're building your funnel, right? You're in it. I've always chafed at the idea of a funnel. I understand the concept, and I really liked how Tony Clark on one of the, I think it was episode 13 of the mainframe, but I'm not entirely certain. But one of them, they were talking about funnels. It's the one where they're talking about, simple funnels. And one of the things that Tony said, which just made just mind-blowing sense to me, which is, pretty cool, right? When somebody puts the pieces together for you, you're like, oh, duh. Well, one of the things that he pointed out was, if you look at a funnel, okay, so like, let's say that this is the funnel and it's larger at the top than it is at the bottom, right? So if you're looking at it straight down, then it looks like a target, or like if you've ever played darts, the dart board, it reminds kind of that, because these circles, there's the outer, and then the next step in, because as you go into that funnel, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Which made, I finally understood funnels. Or I finally felt like I felt comfortable with funnels. So you're probably going, well, what's a customer education value? What on earth does that have to do with anything? Well, with the marketing shift from, you know, where the marketers had all the power back in the day to where now we have an empowered consumer. So we've become increasingly empowered, and I think it's a great thing. So, and once you have control of your buying process and the research process and the decision making process, obviously you always quote unquote had control of the decision making process. But at the end of the day, now everything is being put in front of us, where the smart brands, the successful companies, etc., they're embracing the fact that, okay, we have empowered consumers, so we're going to basically educate their decision rather than trying to interrupt their lives and influence their decision to quote unquote impulse them on making this purchase or that purchase or these purchases, right? So what I was always looking for was, okay, what's the easiest way to help my customers organize their marketing without getting into all of the, as my grandfather used to put it, gobbledygook. And it's kind of a funny word, but at the end of the day, it's pertinent, because anything that you're focusing on around your website and the plugins and the this and the that, if you're not looking at, okay, my customer is the person that's going to interact with anything I create on my website. And if you lose sight of that, then it becomes about the technology. It becomes about the this and the that, whereas your customer doesn't care about all of that. All that they want is their access to their solution and to move on. So over time, I was, obviously looking for and trying to put together my system to help people accomplish organizing their marketing around their customer. And lots of my information has come, well, a lot of it's come from, trial and error, just ask my customers. And, a lot of it has come from just listening, reading, studying, if you will. Especially with anything on Rainmaker platform, just Copywriter Media. I mean, I know I'm a shill and all that, but it's a case where I found a solution, so I stick with that solution, right? And they make it really well. Number one, they really help me kind of formulate a lot of my understanding, a lot of my system, by kind of understanding how they approached the growth of the business, because they were always focused on audience. And I always thought, well, duh, I agree with you, but I'm not ready for that, right? Because I don't really have my solution together. I don't have my process put together. And one of the biggest mistakes that I could possibly make, and I hope that you don't make the same mistake, which is you have to actually start building your audience, building your brand, building your, you have to basically open the front door and let customers come in and be prepared to deal with them. That's when the magic happens, right? For 7 years, I've been just struggling and so forth. And my audience isn't growing really that much yet, but it's just getting started. So I can't really expect it to, just leap off of the board all on its own. The idea is, I'm going to help it grow because I understand I have a basic, simple, repeatable system that I am employing. And it's all organized around my customer, because we all start out as strangers. And that was probably the biggest insight that I brought to the table. Like a lot of the stuff, I took the SAVE, solution access, value, and education in place of the old 4 Ps of marketing. I took that from Gregory Ciotti over at Help Scout on the blog, which was fantastic. He put that out in 2013, I believe, which blew my mind, because it's like, that's exactly what I've been trying to figure out. I knew that the old 4 Ps had to have changed, it had to have evolved in order to accommodate a consumer that was actually empowered, right? But I didn't understand, I didn't have the actual, I want to say linguistics, but I didn't have the terms in place, I guess is the best way to put it. So he helped me put those terms in place. So what has occurred is now I can help my customer, and obviously I'm doing it for myself as well, organize your marketing around your customer. And what does that break down to? Well, let me show you a little mind map that I'm putting together. Maybe this will kind of help bring some of the pieces together for you. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share. Okay, so here's what I'm calling the customer education path. And the way that it works is that you have a customer and they're going to start out as a stranger, right? And then they're going to view you as an attractive stranger. Now, they're still unknown to you, but they have become aware of you. Maybe it's a blog post that a guest post that you put out, or maybe it's a blog post on your blog that they found on, by searching in Google for a specific question that they had, or for a specific issue or whatever, right? But now they're aware of you. Then once they are ready to introduce themselves to you, this is the email list, right? And then so they join your email list, and it's a double opt-in. Mine are always going to be double opt-in. So they're going to and then they're going to sign up first, and then they're going to confirm. So it's a double opt-in. So they're going to opt in. The first opt-in is that they sign up for my email list on my site. The second one is that they confirm that they have control of that email address that they entered when they signed up, right? So this starts a two-way conversation, and it allows, one of the things that I learned from Johnny Nastor and Jared Morris over at The Showrunner is setting expectations. And I took it a little bit further, but because based on my past experience and all, a two-way conversation with your customer, that converts, because all that you're learning to do then is educate their decision, because the solution isn't ever going to be for everyone. You don't want it to be. It's going to lose value if you do that. You want it to be a perfect solution for this person, not for everyone. So the idea is, once you have gotten this person where they are aware of you, so they become an attractive stranger, and then you say, okay, now they have gotten enough value out of you. And a good example is Copyblogger. So let's say that I found Copyblogger at some point. Maybe I was a Studio Press customer. I heard about the consolidation or whatever, and so I kind of started poking around further over on copyblogger.com. And I read this, and I read that, and I read this, and I read that, and then eventually, they didn't know me, quote unquote, but I knew them. So I was aware, but they were just an attractive stranger to me. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to become an audience member. So what happened was I joined their, I think it was the Internet Marketing for Smart People. It was a 21-step autoresponder, which was fantastic. And I really enjoyed it. I got a lot of information out of it. I really felt empowered, going through it and so forth. So from there, I became a community member. So I signed up for a free membership over on Rainmaker.fm when they launched it, the new Rainmaker thing. I signed up for it. I also signed up for the free, not for the My Copyblogger sign up, which is the free version. So like the example would be My Copyblogger is here. And then the customer is when I bought Teaching Sales, when I bought what's the other? Agent Press thing, which they kind of folded into Teaching Sales, and I later became a member of the Authority forums, which is just a paid version. Like it's set up opposite of My Copyblogger. So like My Copyblogger is the free version, and then Authority forums and the Authority backend. I can't even pronounce Authority today. But the Authority aspect was or the authority forums and the authority content and all that, that was the paid version. I think it's like, I want to say it's like $350 a year. You pay for the year. Really helpful. And they got a ton of information in there, right? So, and then you have the repeat customer. Well, I guess that, you know, teaching sales and agent press were kind of the repeats more than, you know, the other. And then the brand ambassador, I guess at this point, I've definitely transitioned to a brand ambassador, but it really boils down not so much to me, you know, talking about them as them serving me a solution that was very important, to me, right? So how do you organize your marketing around your customer? Well, that's the path, the education path that all of your customers are going to go through. They're all going to start out as a stranger. And if you have someone that's currently a repeat customer, that's fine. You could go ahead and slide them into the repeat customer group, and they're going to pick right up where they need to. The idea, though, is you're educating them to move from, you know, stranger to an attractive stranger. That's that first. I think I can't remember exactly what Sonia Simone called it, but I think it was birthday content, but I'm probably getting those terms. She had a couple of terms, but it was basically like, you know, look, this is attraction content that you're putting out. So like all of the blog posts on Copyblogger, all of the podcasts on Rainmaker.fm podcast network. That's all attraction content. It's completely free. You don't have to do anything to get it. You just have to, you know, consume it basically, right? So you have to get to it and use it is all. And all that's doing is introducing them to other audiences. So you can rent, once you have that quality content that, you know, your potential customer would be interested in, that's educating something specific to them. For instance, you know, this Hangout this live broadcast is specifically covering a topic, right? So what is a customer education path? How does it help organize marketing? Well, the customer education path is the path that you're going to, instead of a funnel, you're not going to view it that way. You're going to view it as a relationship over time. So let's say that starting here is kind of, and bear with me, but let's consider it birth, so to speak, for your relationship with them. Then you're going to have to educate them, you know, what's the next steps? What do they need to learn first? What's important at this stage of your relationship? And then as they move further through the relationship, now, you know, they started out completely clueless. They had no idea what was going on, but you started filling in the blanks and helping them understand and get their sea legs, so to speak, beneath them, and understanding what's important and what's needed and what's helpful, and putting a logical timeline to the different, you know, goals or tasks or expectations that your customer might have. So you're bringing them through that process, that path that we talked about, and you're educating them point by point. And you're understanding that at any point, your education, at some point, when you educate these people, they're going to make up their mind. They're going to decide, right? And when they do decide, they're either going to decide to go further with you, i.e., maybe they're a community member, they sign up for the free stuff, you know, for a free membership, and they're logging into your site, they're coming back on a regular basis. At some point, they're going to make a decision to either go forward and become a customer, stay where they're at, because they can fend for themselves, so to speak, with your free info, or and most of the time it's going to be either they could become closer to you and move closer to your solution and purchasing your solution, etc., you know, farther down, the closer to you down that customer education path, or they're repelled to go somewhere else. And it's not a bad thing to repel people. Like if you look at this and go, oh my God, he freaks me out, he's hideous. Okay, well, you're not my customer. And you're probably one of my ex-girlfriends. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, the point is, you want to educate your customer through this path. And the best way that I've found to do that, to help people, especially my customers, was to make it about one customer, right? So, you know, let's say that, you have a specific, like for instance, with me, there's different customer types that I've been able to help, right? Local church, local business, local radio station, local, international, sales training provider, etc. So there's these different ones. But what I have to do is deal with each one individually. So for the local church, I'm looking at them and saying, okay, they have this problem that's important to them. They need to grow their community. They need to leverage the internet. And I hate that word, but because it is totally a tech or a industry term or whatever, or jargon, however you want to put it. But that's what you're looking to do, is you're looking to use that, the internet, the website, the social media, the email, all these tools that are available. They're looking to use that. My local church client, they're looking to use that to grow their community, grow their membership, obviously part of that is to increase their operating budget so that they're able to do more things and make a bigger impact. And that's what they're really growing, right? Is they're growing their impact, because the more of an impact that they make on their local community and their state and their nation and their world and, so forth, then it's going to be, there's kind of a trickle down aspect to where they're automatically going to start increasing the number of visitors, the number of members, the number of volunteers, et cetera, et cetera. That's the goal, right? So they have a problem, one specific important problem that I'm helping them solve. So I have a solution to their problem. I give them access to their solution. I deliver value to them, because this solution is, I'm not competing on price. I'm saying you have a unique, to my client, I'm saying, look, you have a unique context you have to your issue. You have unique resources. You have everything about your situation is unique to you. So let's take a look at your specific situation and put together the best way to handle that customer so that we can educate them from the very beginning all the way through the process to where now they're, attracted to you. They're aware that you exist. Now they're becoming part of your audience. Now they're joining your community. Now they're becoming your customer. Now they're becoming, etc. Right? So solution, you give them access. You provide consistent value, and a lot of it, honestly, is just by giving them the information that they want when they need it. If you're looking at it from your perspective, you're going to put together this huge knowledge base and all these frequently asked questions, possibly, or whatever that you need to. And you'll see that if you go to a lot of these knowledge bases, they're going to handle questions that are all over the map for customers, because most customers aren't going to ask a bunch of, they're going to ask different questions before the sale as that they'll ask after the sale. And then they're going to ask different questions when they've been using your solution for 3 or 6 or 9 months, as opposed to, 18 or 24 or 5 years, right? There's just different questions that are going to come up. There's different information that is pertinent and relevant to their current situation, to their current context on day 1, day 190, day 1500 or whatever the case is, right? So by organizing your marketing around your customer, putting that into a customer education path, you're able to accommodate everyone potential, that has the potential to be your customer, because you're going to get their attention. You're then going to, obviously if your message resonates with them, then they're going to be attracted to you and want to find out more about you. That's when they decide, okay, I'm going to now become an audience member. I'm going to join the email list. Sign up, start getting 1 email a week. Anytime I want to, ask a question, all I got to do is hit reply. And, this person is going to answer my reply or whatever. So, and then from there, they decide, okay, well, I'm going to become a community member. Now I'm going to set up my own profile and my own login and password and username, etc., for this person's secure website. So then I can go and log in, and I will have a different experience than someone that's not logged into that website. By putting this path together for your customers and educating them through this path, it's going to simplify things for you on the front end and the back end, because as an empowered consumer, we're used to having things our way when we want it. And if we don't get it that way, it's not a good thing. It's it's annoying. It's frustrating. It's, stressful, etc. So if you're able to give them the information that they want when they want it, then it's a positive, and it can help you actually grow more brand ambassadors, get more people that are sharing your solution with others. So it really boils down to, you want to organize your marketing around your customer. And that starts with understanding who your customer is, understanding what's important to her. What does she want out of this interaction with you? What are what's the value that you're delivering to her that's going to make her life easier? Once you understand that, and you can educate, then you can now educate her on that. So it's going to be easier to take them from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, as opposed to just basically dumping a bunch of stuff out and hoping that they'll figure it out on their own. Because some will fight through that and figure it out so that they can take advantage of your solution, but most won't. Let's face it, if they go and look for you online, on your phone, on their smartphone or whatever, where they're looking, they're like, okay, well, I'm checking into, I need to, buy something local. We still go to our phone, the internet, to check. If they don't find you, they're not going to go and, just, hunt you down. They're, excuse me, they're going to go to one of your competitors. Right? They're going to take the path of least resistance most often, because we're humans. That's what we want. We want, more often than not, we want the path of least resistance, if, as long as we still get where we want to go, right? So that's where a lot of the value that you can deliver is kind of stored or hidden, even to where, just by simplifying the interaction process for your customer, that's more valuable to them. Ease of use for your customer, that there's value there. People pay a premium for that, because when you're running your business, there are so many things on your plate on a day-to-day basis that you can't deal with every single solitary thing yourself. It's just not realistic. Even if you are looking at it from I'm a one-person shop and a sole proprietorship, at this point, with all the tools available and etc., you can do a ton with that. Trust me, I'm doing it right now. Like, I handle all my own transcripts. I'm putting together all of my audio podcasts. I'm doing these once Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., these live broadcasts. It's, I'm blogging on my website. I'm handling all of it, other than Chris Wright Media is taking care of the sound. Every time I put together one of my audio podcasts, I ship it to Chris, and he, takes care of the sound for me, so I don't have to mess with it. But otherwise, I'm taking care of all of it because of the tools that are at my disposal. And that is also part of what's going to help you do what you need to accomplish. Because one of the things that I've dealt with as people are giving me feedback as I'm putting together my offer and my minimum viable experience, and et cetera, I keep hearing, well, you're closing your options. You don't want what if somebody could be your customer, but they're not going to want Rainmaker? Then they're not my customer. And that's not a knock on them. That's the fact that I spent 5 years figuring out how to code. I spent 5 years figuring out all about WordPress and child themes and theme frameworks and plugins, and which are the good ones and which are the crap ones, and how do you even know? And then testing it, and understanding, proving my hypothesis, and etc. It it was a huge waste of my time because it wasn't building my actual business. That is time and tears that is saved for me because, and for my customers, because we don't deal with all of the possibilities. We don't worry about, I'm not worried about giving you or putting in front of you every possible permutation of a solution. I have one solution that I have vetted and that I am iterating each time I take my customers through it. Just like I, iterated it and I tested it on me personally with my website. And then I I continued to iterate it, doing it for my client websites as well. So I will see you tomorrow. I've actually gone 1 minute over, so that's free. I'm just going to throw that out to you. If you have questions, if any of this, you just want some additional kind of insight, or you're a little you don't quite understand this part or that part, I want to help you put the pieces together. So email me, Jason, Jason, at Jason Hobbs LLC, all lowercase, all one word, jasonhobbsllc.com. That's Jason at jasonhobbsllc.com. Drop me an email. I'll be more than happy to fill in any blanks that you have and help you get rolling. I mean, the idea is it's not a proprietary system. It's a simple, repeatable system, but it doesn't do the work for you. You have to have the solution and you have to have a customer that you're giving, that you're providing a solution for. They have to have a problem that you're solving with your solution that's important to them. You have to have a way to give them access. You have to make sure that they're getting value and that it's obvious value, and you have to educate them, etc. Just like with taking them through from the audience or stranger into, audience member, community member, customer, brand ambassador, all that. You are the one that's bringing them through with your content. Like, to get their attention initially, you're doing audio broadcasts, a live broadcast, an audio podcast is what I was trying to say. Written blog posts, a lesson, multiple lessons in a course, free course on your site. All of these are valuable pieces of content that you've put together that your customer can use. So yes, I can help you implement the system, but no, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not a shortcut. This is the long play, I guess is the best way to put it, because my goal has always been to grow the biggest community of business owners that I have personally helped, not once, but over time. The goal, obviously, is to have an audience of them, and then a smaller subset becomes part of my community, and they're free, but they do decide to log into my website, etc. The audience, they become part of my email list. So you have the email list, and then a smaller portion of that, or a subset, is they become community members, and then a subset of that is going to become my actual paid members, and then we have the premium paid members who are paying more for personal attention, etc. So if you have questions, please let me know. Tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. till 9 a.m. I'm Jason Hobbs, and I'll see you then.